All right, everyone, it's time for a rebuttal to the Wall Street Journal, which name-dropped me yesterday. Now, get this. Story's interesting. The same dude who wrote that ill-fated PewDiePie article months and months ago, about how he's a Nazi, he dog whistles to racists, he's obviously an evildoer. Like, here's a screenshot of him totally out of context, like they always do. Like what Right Wing Watch or all of these groups have done. Here's a screenshot of him with his arm up in the air. He's obviously doing a Sieg Heil salute. He said a racial slur on a stream months ago, so he's literally Hitler. The same individual who penned that article, dumb as it was, his final article at the Wall Street Journal before he apparently goes off to work for the New York Times, I'm actually mentioned in it. And the only reason that they could possibly be mentioning me, I'm going to go out on a limb here and guess why I'm listed here alongside Alex Jones. Now, Alex Jones, it's obvious why they would want to list him. He's got a huge audience. Millions and millions of people watch his material. I mean, the list goes on. He's got the actual broadcast, the independent site structure, the YouTube channel, Prison Planet, Alex Jones ancillary content, 1.4 million subs or something for Paul Joseph Watson sitting there talking once or twice a day. It's a huge, huge number of subscribers. It's obvious people are interested in the content. It's like an army of users. I can understand why they'd feel threatened by that. Then they have BP Earthwatch, and that's sort of low-hanging fruit. Like, no offense to BP or any of his fans. I like his channel. I find the content interesting. But it is the weird side of YouTube stuff. It's not like political commentary. Mostly it's about Nibiru and pole shift and seismic stuff and, stress on the Earth's magnetosphere and stuff. It's more of the pseudoscientific and revelational material. It's not really straight political commentary. Then I'm in there. And I'm sitting there. Well, I'm being compared to like this other content. They're not exactly giving a reason why I would even be listed here. The only reason that's listed is that my description says I am God. Which is a joke, by the way, from like 8 or 9 years ago. It has to do with an old joke with some trolls that I knew at the time. This is long before I was doing any political commentary. So it's tongue-in-cheek. It's an inside joke, basically. But here's the thing. I was thinking, why would I be listed here? And the only thing I can think of is that I'm probably, at this point, of all the political commentators on the entire platform with any audience, I'm probably the most acerbic towards the lamestream media. I think I've probably attacked the lamestream media as a total and different groups under it more times than anybody else in the last couple years. That's probably why I'm listed here. They consider me a threat because I'm building a platform, and a big part of that platform, not all of it, but, a chunk of it, is specifically I'm pointing out the lies. When CNN or the Wall Street Journal or Breitbart or whatever lies, or Fox News or The Blaze, it doesn't matter if it's so-called left or right. It's bullshit. It's all about the money. When they lie, I point it out, and I think that they're concerned. I think what's happened is that they look at related videos, and private individuals have told me that I'm in related videos a lot. I'll tell you probably why that is. It's not the reason why Wall Street Journal is saying, which is algorithmic manipulation that helps independent YouTubers, the dark side, the evil side of YouTube, the bad guys, the average Joes. That's, by the way, totally false. I'll get into that in a minute. It's not because of that. It's because I put out a lot of content on current events. Honestly, it would be difficult to find a politically related tag that wouldn't link at some point to my content by 2 or 3 degrees of separation because I've got such a large bulk of content. That's probably why it is. That and the fact that I bother to tag things. Look, I have a strong suspicion that these lamestream sites like the CNNs and stuff, because they're not fully knowledgeable about YouTube, they probably are pretty sparse with their tagging. They certainly are with descriptions. And they rely upon sort of an insular echo chamber audience. Yeah, if that's your goal, that's fine, but your growth is being stunted. To the point where I think mostly this is just them whining about mistakes that they themselves made. But here's the thing, algorithmic manipulation, the big claims of this article, first and foremost, that algorithmic manipulation, Google coming in and fiddling with related videos, with search results and so forth, the ranking, trending, that it helps people like me who have misleading content. That's absolutely false. On 2 counts. First, my content's not misleading. You're the propagandist, not me. That's number one. Number two, no. Algorithmic manipulation, when it was instituted, dropped my view count. It dropped the rate of new subscriber growth for a significant length of time. Others noticed the same thing. You are the ones that benefit from it. If you're going to manipulate rankings, specifically, remember, a lot of people who read this article won't be aware of this fact, but YouTube has a new caste system. Somebody like myself that's simply, a verified silver level creator, okay, that puts me in the upper crust of YouTube, but it doesn't put me in the noble class. No, the noble class are called priority creators. You don't see, there's no little badge to differentiate them, but we know some of them, like Jimmy Kimmel, the Wall Street Journal, CNN. They're immune, they get favorable treatment in rankings. They're immune to demonetization. They're immune to flagging in virtually all forms. They won't get kicked off even for blatantly violating the terms of service. They can steal others' content, flagging them won't do a damn thing. They can harass people, they can defame people, flagging won't do a damn thing. They can sit there, they could show their cock. It wouldn't matter. Jimmy Kimmel could come out and moon the audience. It could be put on YouTube. It wouldn't be success. It wouldn't even be put into restricted mode. It certainly wouldn't be put in limited state, and it certainly, sure as hell, wouldn't get taken down. Priority creators are basically the lamestream body. That is, people who were famous before the YouTube era, established audience, YouTube's trying to wine and dine them, corporations, NGOs that paid for priority status, I'm sure. Those are the people that get favorable treatment, not people like me. I'm just a dude with a webcam. So the Wall Street Journal's full of it, and it's really funny that in their final article from this particular individual, before he goes off to join the New York Times, that wonderful unbiased New York Times as well, it's very funny that I get name dropped in the final article that they post. And again, no offense to like BP Earthwatch or Alex Jones, I'm fans of both. But the content is fundamentally dissimilar. Alex Jones goes out into more of the hypothetical conspiracy land, you could call it. I don't really do that. A lot of my content is just, here's my opinion on some news article that's happened. I think that might be the other reason why I'm name dropped here. A disproportionate proportion of my content is essentially, hey, archive everything, the lamestream media is lying to you, and here's an example of their bias. Literally, in talking about current events, because people would always ask me for a source, I've gotten used to just archiving whatever source I'm inclined to and putting it in the description. I can guarantee you that this individual has briefly skimmed over some of my content, realized, hey, Styx attacks the legacy media, here's his growth statistics, he's quickly rising up towards that top tier level. So we should do something about this as quickly as possible. We got to poison the water, and this has been done multiple times recently. Look, in the wake of the last election, only a couple of months after I predicted that the establishment at large would begin trying to defame independent creators, people, shills and others, embarked upon a propaganda campaign to end all propaganda campaigns that took place on multiple websites and has become a mainstream sort of thing. It's an attempt to kneecap all independent content creation in favor of their lamestream, prepackaged, inefficient, boring bullshit. Because they're at a loss to compete with us. They can't swear. If you're talking about, if you got CNN's YouTube page, and they're putting stuff from the TV show on there, they can't swear on TV. They can't say certain things. They have to be very careful for multiple legal and fiscal reasons. So the content's boring. You look at their channels. The lamestream channels. They have a high sub count, but nobody watches the content. Or they don't have anywhere near as many subscribers. Like The Blaze, I think they struggle to hit 100K. Meanwhile, somebody like Lionel or Razorfist or anyone could breeze right past them by virtue of having a friggin' webcam and a microphone and a laptop somewhere in their bedroom. Essentially, that's all they need. There are all sorts of commentators that are firing right past these people. You look at The Blaze and the number of subscribers that they have. It's like laughable. MTV News. I talked about them a long time ago with their white people article. And it was very, very funny during that period of time. And I correctly predicted, hey, I'm going to hit 100K before them. I don't even know how many subs they have, but it's minuscule compared to a lot of single individuals on the platform. The Wall Street Journal is engaged in outright propaganda. And I actually would agree with one thing in the article, which is that manipulating results is a problem. The thing is, it's a problem because it screws people like me. It doesn't screw the Wall Street Journal. Your account is a priority account. Any algorithmic manipulation is in your favor. It's not in the favor of people like me. It would be interesting if this dude continues this nonsense while he's at the New York Times. So basically, this is what Jared Holt wants to be. Holt, who works for a small media group, he wants to be like this dude writing an article where he can go viral for defaming PewDiePie or something like that. It's like, once you get to the point where you're calling PewDiePie a Nazi, don't you lose credibility? You know, and to anyone who's under 30, certainly the credibility at that point is completely out the window. I think for most people over 30, probably as well. By the way, there's nothing dark or underbelly-ish about, you know, my content in particular, unless you're like a modern-day satanic panic witch hunter, in which case you probably don't like the occult content. But, you know, that's just secondary content too. Yeah, I'm going to talk about that. Probably. They fear me because they can't fully classify all of my content. It's too diverse. It's too varied. It's not easily categorized under a partisan banner or even a standard ideological banner. So obviously they're fucking terrified of me. So thanks to the Wall Street Journal, I actually appreciate this a lot because this shows that I'm doing the right thing. Like Colette pointed out the other night on my stream then. I guess I'm over the target, so I'm taking flack, and I have been now for, you know, over a month. You know, constant defamation from these groups. Now the Wall Street Journal gets involved. I guess the idea was the right-wing watch is too small to take me on. They can't do anything. You know, nobody pays attention to it. I'm too good at rebutting their, you know, meager points. So now the Wall Street Journal decided to issue a parting shot from the master of the war against PewDiePie, aka the war against anything independent or funny on the entire internet. So they feel threatened by me. They should, because I'm going to keep headhunting after the legacy media. Now, when you lie, people are going to point out that you're lying. It's not like the good old days back when people, in order to point that out, they'd have to write a letter to the editor. 10 people would read it. No, now 10 million people can see it, potentially. It gets amplified because we content creators also, you know, conduct business with one another. We talk to one another. They fear that even more. They fear the fact that we have congealed and that we communicate with one another and we can get along at least enough to produce content together. That terrifies them. I think they're afraid that we're going to become like a media conglomerate. I think they're afraid that a bunch of independent creators are going to get together and form a confederacy. That it'll be the media site to end all media sites and put them all out of business. I think that's ultimately what they're concerned about. Maybe that should happen. Maybe that's something we should be thinking of and talking about openly. You know, getting a bunch of larger creators under the banner of politics, social satire, philosophy, together to produce content loosely in tandem with one another. I've mentioned before, I mentioned a year ago, that YouTube creators needed to form a sort of non-aggression principle between one another. Like when you see like alt-right versus skeptic and stuff, it's like that's not helpful. You're all independent creators at the end of the day. You're not going to have that conversation for very long if the lamestream media gets in and starts manipulating our content so much nobody can ever fucking find it again. So, you know, save that for the side. I told you before, don't ignore the bear to swat the mosquito. Take care of the bear first, punch it in the nose, drive it back off into the woods to go fucking starve to death, and then you can swat as many mosquitoes as you want. That's about all. Peace out.